The history of Eritreans lost at sea on their way to Europe and the regime's denial. Since the 1990s, thousands of Eritreans have fled their homeland in hopes of finding safety and better living conditions in Europe. Eritrea, one of the world's most repressive countries, is governed by a regime that systematically oppresses its citizens through forced conscription, political repression, and the denial of basic freedoms. This has led many Eritreans to see no other option but to escape. Those attempting to reach Europe often face a dangerous and sometimes deadly journey across the Mediterranean. Many are forced to entrust their lives to smugglers, who frequently overload boats and send them on perilous voyages across the sea. These journeys have become infamous for their tragic outcomes, as hundreds, if not thousands, of Eritreans have perished due to drowning or other hazards along the way. One of the most notable incidents occurred on October 3, 2013, when a boat carrying over 500 migrants, the majority of whom were from Eritrea, capsized off the Italian island of Lampedusa. Over 360 people died, and the tragedy shocked the world. The event became a symbol of the desperate situation many Eritreans find themselves in, as well as the risks they are willing to take to escape the oppression in their homeland. Despite these tragedies, the Eritrean regime has often denied responsibility and even obstructed efforts to identify and repatriate the bodies of the deceased. The regime has dismissed reports of human rights abuses, claiming that most Eritreans who leave the country do so for economic reasons, not because of political repression or the threat of forced conscription. This stance starkly contrasts with the testimonies shared by refugees and survivors who describe a daily life marked by fear, surveillance, and oppression. When the bodies of Eritreans who perished on their way to Europe have been discovered, their families have sometimes sought to have them returned to Eritrea for burial. However, the Eritrean government has often made this difficult, if not impossible. They have denied many families' requests to receive their loved ones' remains and to bury them in their homeland, which for many has added another layer of grief and despair. The Eritrean regime's denial and resistance have contributed to the anonymity of many Eritreans who lose their lives while fleeing, leaving their families in uncertainty and without the possibility of closure. This exacerbates the sense of injustice and desperation that drives so many to leave the country, despite the enormous risks associated with crossing the Mediterranean. This history highlights the tragic circumstances faced by many Eritreans as they try to escape the oppression in their homeland, and the painful denial they and their families encounter from the Eritrean regime.